Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Brand Bosses podcast. Thank you for being here. We're in season 5. We're rolling along here, so appreciate you tuning in. So today we have Camille Kutz on the podcast. She's a 23-year-old Cleveland, Ohio native who is the owner and founder of the airbrush phone case company, CamAir Cases. At age 21, she graduated from college, earning a degree in speech language pathology. Upon graduation, her artistic abilities came forward, and she realized that pursuing art and fashion was what she really desired to do. With a lot of hard work, dedication, and trial and error, she has scaled her business exponentially ever since. So everybody listening, you have to go check out her business on Instagram. It's at CamAir Cases, CAMAIR Cases. They have about 20K on Instagram, so go follow her page. It's kind of a mix of, I'd say, retro 2000s with a little bit of spice, and it's just so fun to kind of dive into. So Camille, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Jamie. I'm so excited to be on your show.
Yes, and so you are also in the Midwest, which is awesome.
Correct.
So born and raised in Ohio, is that right?
Correct. Cleveland, Ohio, all my life. Yep.
That's awesome. Love that. And so I want to get into the genesis of your brand and kind of how you built this very fascinating brand. We haven't really had anybody of your nature on the podcast. So I want to start, let's go back to the beginning. So walk me through the genesis of CamAir and why you decided to become an entrepreneur.
So it all started during quarantine, May 2020. The quarantine hit. Everyone was like in their house, nothing to do. I was in college at the time pursuing speech language pathology, and my dad has always been both my parents are very artistic, always had me doing the arts, dance, piano, drawing, caricatures. I was very immersed in the arts growing up. And I just remember sitting on my living room floor telling my dad, I'm going to airbrush on 10 shirts, on 10 tie-dye shirts. Tie-dye was really crazy popular at that time. And I was like, I'm just going to see how it goes. And my dad had kind of shown me the ropes of airbrushing. He's pretty skilled himself. And I started with 10 shirts on Etsy. The designs, looking back, very cringe, but hey, gotta start somewhere, right? So I started off with those on Etsy, and a couple of my friends ordered them. I started there, but it was kind of just not even planned. Like, quarantine happened and I was bored in the house, so I never really wanted to do speech pathology in the first place, so this outlet for me was just something that I was so passionate about, and then it was so cool that it turned full-time after it being a side hustle in college, so.
Yeah, what a good story.
Yeah.
And you're a fairly young entrepreneur, right? You're 23, is that right?
Correct, yeah.
And so I'm 24, so we're right there in it together.
I'm about to turn
And
24 in June, so close to
love that, love
you.
it. And so, you took this side hustle full time, and how old were you when you did that?
It's been 5 years, so I would say 18, 19. Yeah,
That's
which
crazy.
is crazy. It's already been like 5 years. I'm like, oh my gosh, like crazy.
Yeah, wild. Time flies, right, when you're
Yeah,
having fun.
for sure.
And so tell me a little bit about kind of what it looked like for you to take this full time. So maybe you can walk us through kind of your role right now with the company. I'm
Yes.
curious how you kind of come up with the designs, all that good stuff.
So to answer your first question, how it became a full-time thing, I had just graduated with my speech pathology degree. I was like, oh my gosh, like kind of hating my life, not to be like that, but I just did not like what I was doing. So almost 2 years ago in June 2023, I sat my two parents down that are both teachers, and I said, hey, I don't want to be doing this anymore. Here are the numbers that CamAir is doing. It's surpassing what I ever thought it was going to be. And I had a whole slideshow presentation ready because my parents they've been strict my whole life, like not super strict, but just a good strict. So I was nervous. I was sweating. I was like, whatever. But I presented it to them, and any question they had, I had an answer to, like, immediately. They're like, well, what if this doesn't work? And I was like, well, I have all these skills and whatever. That happened June 2023, and ever since then it's been full time, and it's just been so crazy to see the growth, even just like within these past 2 years that I've been doing it. So, and then to answer your question about the creative process, these are like two examples. These are prints that I sell, and I start every design starts on a blank canvas, and I airbrush. I do some drawing. You can kind of see I paste some vintage magazine vibes on it too. So it's kind of like a mixed media, but it all starts on a canvas. And obviously I do clothing as well that I hand airbrush as well. But yeah.
Wow. That is so cool. I think it's so funny that, you set your parents down and had this conversation. I think that's
I was
that's
sweating,
so
but
yeah, that's so awesome. But, I think at the end of the day, we need people in our courts. And sometimes it just takes like explaining our vision and kind of what,
exactly.
makes us passionate for other people to get on board.
For sure. For
Yeah.
sure.
And so
It
I
was
think it's really cool too that you create all these designs from scratch. I actually didn't know because I looked at your page and I'm like, either these are kind of Canva creations that maybe you're doing, or I didn't really know how it went. So you're
right.
actually like sketching these out every single one before they go on the print or the phone case or anything like
Correct.
that.
And it's cool. It's kind of funny because everyone's like, "Oh, do you sketch out like what do you do before?" And it's kind of a weird process how my brain works, but I kind of just do. I have my Pinterest board sometimes pulled up, but I just do. I never really sketched out before. I just like kind of do, and I feel like my brain as I go can make the edits and everything, but it's super customizable. And for example, something that I came out with last year is like custom name cases. So people can order their name cases and it's like they can pick the background color, so very customizable, which is really cool aspect of my business for sure.
Yeah, that's so awesome. And would you say your main lead gen then is still like Etsy, or is it Instagram, or kind of where are the different funnels coming from?
So kind of funny story, I started off in Etsy in 2020. I was stupid and I copied a logo, got kicked off. It worked for the better for me though, because now I have my own website and I've had it for a couple years, 3-4 years. Yeah, the website just gives you way more leeway into just creative aspects and payouts at the end of the day, because I feel like Etsy takes so much, and yeah, so it's nice to have my own website for sure.
Yeah, and so you use some sort of Shopify?
I use Wix and I'm definitely in the process of wanting to switch over to Shopify. It's a lot of work, but
Yeah.
I know Shopify is just number one when it comes to every aspect of a business because it's just so streamlined. So
Yeah.
yeah, I started off on Wix. I don't have that many problems with it, but at the end of the day, definitely want to go to Shopify soon.
Yeah, that's interesting. And then in terms of like where people see your product, would you
Yeah,
say like you get a majority of your customers from social? Would you say maybe it's even like SEO and kind of website stuff, or how do you, yeah, what's kind of your lead gen?
I would definitely say Instagram and TikTok, if that's like to answer your question. I feel like just
Yeah.
people seeing the visual on TikTok, something that some pieces of my content that always do well on TikTok is me. It's so I set up my phone, a tripod, and switch to time lapse. So whenever I'm like creating a canvas, when I'm ever creating something like this, I set it up and they see the process like go from 0 to 100. So I feel like that is something on TikTok that really leads people to my website. Is just because it's like they're seeing the process from start to beginning, or
Yeah.
start to finish.
And what I really like about that too is you're giving people kind of a unique glimpse
Yes,
into, the manifestation of the designs, where
right.
I think a lot of people would probably make the mistake maybe in your, I don't know, line of work where they just show the designs. And so have you always done that? Did you kind of recently start doing that?
For like the content, or
Yeah.
I honestly started like when I started my TikTok, I don't even know what year, 2020, probably 2020. I had started when I just did, because I just did clothes from the first 2 years, so 2020 to 2022 fall. That's like all I did was just clothes and hats and tote bags and everything. So even back then, I was doing the time lapses, and I feel like that's what kind of like put me on the map a little bit. Like, oh, it's that airbrush girl who does the quick design. So I've been doing it for a while, and I feel like it's definitely stuck, and people like to see that type of content. So
Yeah, and I
yeah,
think just for anyone listening to, like, as a consumer of content, like I love to see the transgression from the before to the after, and
right,
like being
yeah,
able to see you actually like sketch out the design and like just see that happen is kind of a really cool, I guess, behind the scenes look
for
that I feel
sure.
like can be translated into so many different industries and brands.
It's cool. It's funny because sometimes I do show it, sometimes I don't, but if something happens, like the nice thing is I can spray white paint and like kind of restart on the canvas. So it's so funny because it's like, okay, like I'm not perfect. Like I'll spray over it and start over again. So I'll sometimes include that it's like, hey, I'm not perfect. I'm not completely doing everyone right every time. So it's funny, but yeah.
Yeah, that's so awesome. And how many designs approximately have you done?
It's funny. I just checked that the other day. It's funny you asked that because phone case wise, I have like there's a ton of designs in my basement, my unfinished basement. That's my studio that I haven't used just because of whatever reason. But on my site, 118 phone cases, which is kind of crazy because it's like I didn't even realize it's been that many, and it's like
Wow.
there's so many to come, and I'm still creating every day. So it's the number's going up every day, but yeah.
Wow, that is so cool. And so you are like designing every day.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, not
Wow.
every single day because obviously I'm traveling and I'm not able to be home, but a good amount of the week and month for sure.
Wow. That is just so cool because I think too, I've talked to a handful of business owners,
Yeah.
and there gets to be a point where I think, they hand off maybe like the more hands-on piece of the business. And, ultimately, typically where I see this happen is like they hand something off, like the designing, like what you're doing, and then, they hate the books of it. They hate the other aspects of the business. They eventually find their way back to what they initially loved about the business. And so I think it's really cool that you have stuck with the piece that I guess you're most passionate about.
And that's something that I think about it on the daily kind of is like I don't want to give that up. I don't want to give up that creative aspect and I'm not the most creative every single day of like every hour of every single day, but it's like when I'm in when I'm in the creative zone, I don't want to leave it and I don't know if I want to ever give that up. That's like kind of a big thing, but I always want to have some type of creative control for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, I think that's
But
really special too, and I feel
yeah.
like that's really intuitive as a founder
Yeah.
and CEO to know what drives you, and clearly you have the creativity, the artistic passion, which I just find so fascinating.
Oh,
And so,
thank you.
tell me a little bit about, I guess, your presence on social. So, when do you remember when you first started your Instagram or TikTok page?
I think both of them were 2020, so it's like I obviously had my personal accounts on both, and I was like, I think I both started in 2020, and again, they were very cringe, very not beautiful, so pleasing to the eye, very cringe videos, but again, had to start somewhere. I was just doing the trends, like specifically on TikTok, like any type of trend that would come up, I would try to do and try to gain traction. I think I've definitely evolved for like both accounts too. I have two interns right now that have definitely helped me plan like specifically my Instagram content and just have it more laid out and cool ideas that they've brought to the table. So that has helped a lot.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's awesome that you have some extra hands because
Yeah,
I think people underestimate how challenging it can be when you're
it's
running your own
crazy.
business to do your own social. I mean, we face the same darn thing,
Yeah,
which is why I've had interns as well.
for sure. It's
Yeah,
constant. It's every day. People, you gotta always like think about it. People are always scrolling,
100%.
obviously, but
Um,
yeah.
yeah, and so how does your approach differ when it comes to TikTok versus Instagram?
I feel like it's so funny. My interns and I had a meeting last night. We were just talking about the importance of why TikTok has done so well and like kind of the reasoning behind it and why Instagram's just not really that much like that crazy anymore. I feel like people are just so obsessed with TikTok and the scrolling because it's like it's the video putting a actual like it's making it real like on TikTok. It's like okay, like the behind the scenes of me doing these. Like I'm going on a trip to do a pop-up at ASU. What am I doing in the day? It's like making the brand more real, and that's something that I've been trying to lean into more is like more of okay, like I'm Camille as CamAir, CamAir is Camille. Like what does a day in my life look like? And even when I'm home, not traveling, what is a day in the life? So I feel like people really like to see that behind the scenes, even behind the scenes of my life, or even a photo shoot. It's like, okay, people can look at all the model pictures that are finalized, but it's like, okay, what are we shooting? And I want to kind of just lean into the more behind the scenes on like every aspect of Cam Air.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's a good way to put it because ultimately, we say this a lot on the podcast, like people want to follow you on your journey and they
Yes.
want to be in your community, but in order to really be a part of the community, they need to know you and they need
Right.
to see you, right, as the founder of a brand. And so I think that's a really smart, I guess, approach to it and clearly it's paid off because you have what I think like 20K on Instagram.
Yes. Yep. And then I
Yeah.
have around like 35 on TikTok. I say, I will say a pain point is just to grow on TikTok. I mean, obviously on both platforms, but I feel like TikTok is easier, but I've been stagnant a little bit, so it's a difficult thing to look at the number and see other brand accounts and other accounts in general just go up and up and up and up. So that is a pain point, but it's just like I'm trying to not care about that too much and just put out what I want to put out. Because
Yeah.
it's difficult though to like see it not go up and then go down a little bit and whatever.
Yeah. It's
But
kind of a roller coaster that
I
sometimes you
know.
just have to ride. You know what I
Yeah, it's
mean?
like okay, whatever. It's good. It's all good.
Yeah. Are you on TikTok Shop?
I am not. And that's been also a topic that has been brought up with me, my interns, other people. And I know I could definitely scale my business, speaking of exponentially, again on TikTok Shop. But first off, people are already ripping me off. There's like Alibaba, like TikTok sellers are already ripping me off, selling my cases for $5. I've already been aware of it. Is there anything I can do? They're good. No, they're I can send cease and desist or whatever, or threaten to sue them. But it's just like there's dupes of everything. So let's just say I know I maybe made it because people are already duping CamAir. But I just want to build my business a little bit bigger to do something like that, to sell on Amazon or sell on TikTok Shop, because I feel like my business is at a good level, but I want to increase brand awareness a little bit more because I don't want it just to be another TikTok case, if that makes sense. Which
Yeah,
is
that
tricky
makes
because it's like,
sense.
okay, more revenue, but like, so
Yeah. Yeah. And would you say cases are like your top seller?
for sure, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Awesome. And do you have like a certain few designs that are like more popular than others?
Yes, I can show right now. This is like one of my favorites. This is like always been like the top one or two
Oh,
seller.
cool.
People really like black and white, which I need to do more of. I love colors so much that I tend to lean towards it, but definitely like this black and white cherry 8 ball and like this case for sure has been like up there. So,
Yeah. And
yeah.
where would you say I love that case for
Yeah.
everybody who's not watching? Like it's this hot pink case
Oh
with
yeah.
I think it's like a little martini glass on the
Yeah, it's
side.
like
So
very
cute.
like
It's so cute.
kind of crazy, but yeah.
I love that. Well, the
Yeah.
cases are so unique where like you know that if you had it on your phone, like you would get stopped because people would be like, "Oh my gosh, your phone case is so unique."
Oh yeah.
Which is so cool, and I love that for you.
It's
And
so
so
fun.
in
Sorry.
terms of like, no, you're good. In terms of like the design inspiration, I'm curious, do you draw inspiration from any other brand specifically?
I would say no other brand specifically, but people have asked me before, where do I get my inspo? It's honestly, this is a crazy response, but anywhere and everywhere. Like if I'm out shopping or like just out traveling or just anything I'm doing, I have like a list in a notes list in my notes where it's like pictures or of inspo plus just like text of like designs I should do. I always something that I've been trying to lean into more in 2025. I have my little broadcast channel on Instagram, and I'm always asking, like, not always asking, it's not being annoying, but hey, like, what designs do you guys want? Like, I have like 1K on the broadcast channel. It's like those girls or people are the most important because it's like they're basically subscribe and repeat customers. So it's like, what do they want to see more of? So I would definitely say like not 1,000% leaning on what they're saying, but definitely like taking inspo from what they're saying and trying to do it. So honestly,
Yeah.
inspo everywhere.
Yeah, and I think honestly that's one of the most underrated things that someone can do when it comes to social is like asking your audience. For
Yes.
example, we have a builder we're working with and he's working on a project and like we literally throw out polls that are like what exterior color do you like the best? And it's just things
Yeah.
like this because when people feel like they have a say when it comes to your brand and they feel like you're approachable like that, I mean, that's really how I feel like you build a strong community that stays with you. And like you kind of mentioned a little bit, like client retention.
Yeah,
I mean, that is exactly the key. Would you agree?
for sure. Because then it's like they want to keep coming back. They want to keep giving their opinions, and they want to keep kind of contributing in a way. So it makes them feel important and special. And honestly, I'm a, customer as well for many other brands, and it's like when they are doing what I'm doing, it's like, oh, I want to contribute, and then that makes me want to come back. So it's kind of just like I'm a consumer, so vice versa type
Yeah,
thing.
exactly. Yeah, and it's this common theme that like we keep hearing on the podcast, which is like what you like to consume is what you should be putting out. I mean, the end all
Yes,
be all. You know what I mean?
yes. Which is
Yeah.
it's so nice that we're able to do that, and I'm able to see like the sides behind it. So
Yeah,
because I'm an avid
exactly.
shopper myself, I got that shopping gene, so I'm like, it works
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, that's so awesome. And so, in terms of client retention, we can kind of keep on this thread. I'm
Yeah.
curious. So, in a space like yours,
Yes.
where maybe someone would say, okay, you buy a phone case, it lasts for a couple of years. What is your client retention, I guess, strategy, or how have you navigated that?
I would definitely say like what we just talked about, definitely that for sure. Like just being in that broadcast channel. I'm so glad that I'm able to do it because Instagram like only picks certain accounts to do it. So I feel like that leaning into that has been great. I'm definitely still trying to, brainstorm new ideas every day about it because it's like I do want to have that client retention grow every single year because I know, this past year it wasn't like super, super high. Obviously, I'm still growing my brand every day, but I don't know. I really, really do want to grow and just have that go up and up and up. Because I mean, it's not the easiest thing, because there's a ton of different other brands, and now more than ever, like the more collage vibe, like I've seen on TikTok Shop, it's like, okay, that's cheaper. It's like, how do you retain them at a higher price? Like, I feel like it's just all about how they feel, and the whole notion of being, like, from CamAir specifically, like a cool girl. Like, okay, when you have CamAir, you're cool. It's like, oh, that TikTok Shop case, like, are you actually feeling cool? Because it's like, CamAir has a story, Camille has a story, I'm following her and I'm contributing. So I feel like all those combined is what I hope will retain the customers.
Yeah, and I think, as I was thinking about questions,
Yeah.
that's exactly like what I thought about is you've built in this kind of cool factor to your
Mhm.
brand, which is very, very hard to do, I can imagine. And so I'm curious because you've dabbled, I think, in some influencer marketing, et
Yeah.
cetera. How has that paid off and how have you gone about that?
It's honestly crazy the amount of just what I've seen happen sales wise, follower count wise from influencer marketing. I did one of my first case collab. Her name's Gertie Nazaroff, and she's only 19 right now. And when I collab with her, I think she was only literally 17 or 18, but it's like she has such a following that loves her style, loves the day in her life, and she was literally my first influencer collab. And I'll never forget, like, that first day, I saw numbers go up that I've never seen, and it was so cool. And this was back in 2023, so this was like literally 2 years ago, so the numbers weren't that crazy, but I just remember seeing those numbers and just being in awe. Like, I didn't even realize it was possible. So the the influence of influencer marketing is crazy. Like, I could go on and on about it, but people, something else my interns and I talked about, people obviously trust CamAir, but they're going to trust their friend or another influencer over you majority of the day. Like, I get influenced by my friends, so it's like people are leaning on other people to make their decision before they buy, which is huge.
Yeah, and I think we underestimate that too as
Yeah.
consumers. And just the sheer idea of like seeing something, seeing someone that we've been following for years use a
Yeah.
product or have a product. Like, for example, we had this girl on the podcast. Her Instagram name is Switch Natural. Love her,
Yeah.
Andrea. And she's all about like health and wellness and
Yeah.
kind of toxin-free products and all that stuff. And like, I trust her
Yes.
because I've been following her and she's been like doing these great, I guess, ingredient reveals and things like that. And so I literally have like bought products that she uses, like
Yeah.
because I trust her. And there's something I think that we oversee when it comes to influencer marketing. And honestly, I feel like the potential for influencer marketing today is still so endless.
I know, and I feel like every new day there's just a new way to approach it. I'm always trying to brainstorm how to differently, promote and everything like that. So I think a big thing with trust too, when it comes back to the brand, is, which is something that I've always leaned into more, is like the customer service. And like, okay, I always respond to emails like literally as soon as I can. For like a phone case, like once you place the phone case order to like when it's delivered, like for US customers, it's now less than a week. So it's like, I feel like always increasing the ways that you can retain those customers within your own brand without having to rely on influencers is so important too. Because I feel like the combo of the two, the influencer marketing plus people actually like, trusting your brand, I feel like that combo of the two is like crazy.
Yeah, for
So
sure. And so how have you gone about like reaching out to influencers to create these partnerships? I'm curious what that looks like.
literally just a cold call DM, nothing crazy. Like, I don't have any PR agencies. Like, I'm doing it all myself right now. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously maybe in the future doing, having like a PR agency or whatever, but I feel like it's really cool because the girls either know of me already from TikTok, or I just reach out on Instagram though, and it's always really cool to see, if they respond pretty quick, like, oh yeah, I love your cases. It's so cool to know that they already know about me. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty simple, but I am doing, I can't say who, but a good amount of influencer like case collabs this year too, which is always something
Cool.
that my customers love, and that I've noticed in my in-person events that people are like, oh, is that the Davis Rowe case? Like, it's funny how people associate, like, oh, that's the blank name, like the name case, like, whoever it may be. So I've realized the importance of that, and I've tried to lean into it as much as I can, and will be continuing to for forever.
Gosh, that is just
So,
so cool. Like, I just love your whole story of
yeah,
like, being artistic and then taking that to phone cases and prints and these kind of unique
yes,
objects and
right.
then scaling this business like very strategically. Like, I think your story is just such a good, I guess, narrative that truly when you're passionate about something, like there's always a way for it to come to fruition, like
For
however it looks
sure.
like. So going back, did you ever like imagine yourself, I guess, here you are today?
It's funny because like whenever I was younger, they're like, "Oh, like what do you want to be?" I always said fashion designer, which I feel like what I'm doing right now is kind of a little bit like that, little strain, little subset of
Yeah.
that. But so I always wanted to be, I always loved fashion, like regardless. But if you would have told me like even 2 or no 3 years ago that I would have like a phone case business, like I would be like, "You're crazy, like what?" So no, to answer your question, no, but it's so cool how it's just like hard work, determination. It's so cool what can come of it if you're just if consistency, I feel like is such a big thing too. It's like whatever you're doing, you have to be consistent with it. But the consistency, passionate combo is like fire, and I feel like that's what I've been trying to lean into and every day. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And I talk about like Ed Milet. Do you know Ed Milet sometimes on the podcast? He's another podcaster.
I've never heard. No.
And he talks a little bit about like who you are on your bad days as an entrepreneur, and it's like those are the distinctive days. Like that's going to be the 1%
Yeah.
that's gonna really determine whether you succeed or you don't. It's like, do you still show up? Do you still go to the meetings even though you had the flu a couple days ago? Whatever it
Yes.
is, like do you still show up? And I just think that there's so much truth to that.
That's such a it's hard because it's like there are days that are sales are down, whatever, but it almost makes me more like I just get so motivated by the fact it's hard to switch the mindset to I'm motivated by low sales day. I get, 1 or 2 sales or whatever it may be that day, but it's like no, that's what I need because it's like that's gonna, I'm motivating myself. It's not some other brand that's motivating me. It's like I need to motivate myself in order to grow. So, but it's difficult. It's not an easy thing, especially when you
Yeah.
see so many other brands. Oh yeah, I blew up overnight, $1 million in sales in one day, and
Right.
all these other brands. It's hard to keep tunnel vision, but I've been trying to remind myself like tunnel vision, Camille, like it's okay, just keep going. So
Yeah, but I think it's paid off. I mean, like you talk about taking one step after the next, like
yeah,
not everything is going to be like a viral,
right.
product. And plus, do you even want that? Or would you rather build like a brand, right, that's
This is
going to have this community that you're building up day after day, which I feel like is probably the answer.
for sure. It's so funny. I've looked at like all these points you've been bringing up. I think about like pretty
Yeah.
often because I mean, it's valid. But I was thinking, I'm like, do I even want like an overnight success brand? Like, no. I'm really grateful that I've been able to like just grow and grow and grow, kind of like steadily, because I've been able to manage it well. And obviously, there's hiccups along the way. But I kind of like how I've been growing. And maybe who knows, one day one huge celebrity will have it and it will blow up. But I've liked how I've grown. If that's like such a weird thing to say, but I've liked how I've grown, and I'm
Yeah.
grateful for sure.
Yeah, well, I think there's something to be said about like alignment. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Like it sounds like you're in alignment with the growth that you've had, and which is something that I think a lot of people underestimate the power of. And that's truly, I think, on those hard days, that's gonna help us get through, I
yes,
guess, the different seasons and the trials for sure.
for sure. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And
great,
so, in terms of what's next for you and your brand, give us a glimpse where, Q1, we're checking it off here.
crazy.
Yeah, crazy. What's next
But
for you and your brand this year?
something that okay, I'll name a few things, but obviously I brought up the collabs with influencers. I feel like the case collab with influencers I'm doing more of this year, so stay tuned for that. Some pretty big names on TikTok, which is really exciting. Something I want to lean into more is how I started, so like doing more clothing, bringing back the clothing. That's something I put in my broadcast channel literally last night, and they're like, "We want you to do more clothes," and that's like when I do it literally airbrush by
Yeah.
hand. So definitely doing more of that. I've been on an indirect college tour for sorority pop-ups, so continuing
Cool.
to travel and doing pop-ups wherever it may be. Um, Something I want to lean into more in 2025 because I, as a consumer, like this when other brands do it, and I don't know why I haven't been doing it sooner. But when I drop a collection, it's kind of a simple thing, but when I drop a collection, I don't just have one case. And that's what I've kind of been doing. It's like, okay, like drop dates, just one case. Starting in April now, I'm gonna have, like, for example, my first drop, it's gonna be 3 cases plus a clothing piece. And I'm excited to lean into the collection structure because, like, me and I'm sure a ton of other customers, people want to see like options. They don't want to just see one thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited to do that because I feel like it will help my brand in many ways. So I'm just excited to do that. But yeah, so many exciting things. And the one other thing that I'll say for right now is I'm doing another bikini and case collab with my other small business friends. So that will be coming soon, which I'm really excited. Matching phone case and bikini. So
Oh, that's so fun.
I'm excited for that. But
Yeah, that's so awesome. And just a quick question, when you release different designs,
yeah,
do you just do like a random release or do you kind of prep the day? How do you go about verbalizing that?
yeah, definitely. I've realized the importance of prepping and priming people's minds because it's all
Yeah.
about feeling and psychological things and emotion to it. So my interns and I have definitely, I've hoped in the past couple of months because they just started with me in January, okay, here's the mood board for the case, here are the behind the scenes. Like I've realized the importance of that so much. And I'm just, again, still trying to learn every day on how to improve that because I feel like people, they're like, ooh, like I'm excited to see, like they get excited by not just showing the design immediately or it drops tomorrow and everyone's like, wait, what? Like I'm not ready. So I've realized the importance of that as well. And just I'm so excited to see what I will come up with in the future with regarding the leading up to the steps of before drop day because I feel like that's so important. So
Yeah. Well, I think it's also so crazy to hear you talk because, like, as you're speaking, I'm thinking like it's crazy the things that we learn on the journey. Like, you
yes.
go back to when you probably first started, like you never would have known how to do any of
I
that.
literally don't know. Like
100%. And it's like, I think people though who are interested in becoming an entrepreneur, like they think, okay, I have to have everything planned out. I have to know X, Y, Z. And it's like, no, like we're just making it up as we go half the time. And
that
then we
is
learn
so
and
true. That's
yeah,
so funny you say that because it's literally that's describes perfectly to a T like how I've literally been on this journey. I've learned as I've gone, but like it's just crazy because I learn everything I've done in my life. I learned by doing it. Like I'm a horrible test taker. I was fine in school. Like I wasn't some straight A student, but it's like I learned by doing, and it's like giving me a test isn't going to teach me anything. So it's like literally all this trial and error I've been doing, and I'm still doing right now currently. It's just how I learn. So it's important to like have that mindset though, to be open and not be like, oh my gosh, like I'm not doing this right. Like something's gonna happen. Like you just can't have that mindset.
yeah, exactly. And I also think you're a great example of like the joy that comes from pursuing your passion. You know what I mean? Like as you're talking, I don't think I've stopped smiling this entire interview just
Aw,
because it's
it's so
like
funny to
I
talk.
can just like see the joy. And
I
I think that
know.
there's something to be said for that. Like when you truly are doing what you're called to be doing and what you're in alignment to be doing, like for the season of life, I think a lot of joy comes from that. And I just think anybody listening who's like maybe stuck in that job that they don't like or just living this life that doesn't really inspire them, like maybe we'll just flip the script here. And I'm curious, like, what would you say to them?
Life is too short to do something you don't want to do. And it's not going to be, the most perfect journey right at the beginning. It's going to be tough, but you have to persevere. Like, whatever you're passionate about doing, like, be consistent, have somewhat of a plan. Like, don't just completely, do something random. Like, have a somewhat of a plan, but it's just life's too short to be doing something that you just don't love. Like for me, it wasn't like I just did not. I literally went to school to make my parents happy. Like you can't make anyone else happy but yourself, and it's like it's a tough pill to swallow for other people because other people, your parents, whoever, your girlfriend, boyfriend, they want you to have like a certain trajectory, but it's like why? Like why please them over yourself? And it's again tough at the beginning, but be consistent and you'll go places for sure.
Yeah, I don't think I could have said that any better. Like, this is your life. You got to live it. You know what I mean? I
And
love
it's
that.
like I know everything's so expensive nowadays, but it's like maybe like again like how I started, like I was in school or have another job and do the side hustle. So it's like balance it out. Like don't just like, oh, I'm gonna quit my job and have no money. Like have a little bit of a plan, like meaning like okay, like
Right.
keep your job a little bit, but then still work on the side business, and then you'll see it go up, and then you can be full time hopefully one
100%.
day.
That's what I did.
Yay! I love that.
This was so fun. Okay, Camille, where can people find you and your brand online?
At CamAir Cases, CAMAIR Cases on Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest. I love posting on Pinterest. It's such a fun platform. And then my personal at Camille Kutz, CAMILLEKUTZ on TikTok and Instagram. And then I also have a YouTube, which I've been trying to like lean into more. I know that's not like a brand thing, but more of a long form content on YouTube. So as like behind the scenes. So yeah.
That's so
Then
fun.
CamAirCases.com to shop.
Yes, and everybody go support her. Clearly, she's doing what she's meant to be doing, and we want to support that. But thank you so much for being on here, Camille. It has been such a pleasure.
Thank you
Like I
so
said, I literally haven't stopped smiling this entire time, so it's been really fun to get to know you.
For sure. Thank you so much, Jamie. I really appreciate it.